Once again, hello, hello. It is super hot down here in the morning. And then the clouds were there, they went out, it got real hot. Now the clouds are coming back and it'll probably cool off. But I don't know how much because you can cook on the sidewalks right now, so, it's just that kind of thing. So, what are we talking about today? No football tonight. So now here's an interesting thing, and we might see something very strange come out of this. There are two companies running self-drive taxis uh, services or autonomous cabs, whatever you want to call them, in San Francisco. Now, it's possible, theoretically, it's very possible that these companies might get pissed off at each other, and if they do that, those taxis, because you don't want to be in one of those taxis, because I told you they don't give a shit about anything. That's what you have to understand. They don't care. They're no empathy whatsoever in AI vehicles. Have an accident, tough shit. File a report, keep going. There's no conversation. There's no nothing. Assuming that they stop for the accident, and they may not. I don't know how that works. Supposedly they shut down if they have an accident, but you never know. You can't figure this shit out. You just can't. Anyhow. Going to be interesting. And along those lines of battles, the Epstein file release paperwork goes to the desk of Donald. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, Trump, and he gets to sign it. Well, there's a couple options he has. One, he can veto it, which would definitely ensure that the Republican Party cuts him off at the nuts. He can sign it and approve it, and he'll think of something to say or do about it. Or he can just leave it alone. If he doesn't touch it, I don't know how many days it takes, it automatically becomes law without his signature. And I think he might do that. That would be probably the best thing. And now there's one of the congressmen and stuff involved in all this is saying he doesn't expect the Justice Department just to turn this stuff over. He expects them to mess with it, redact a lot of crap so that it's not, you can't really read it. It's gonna be a strange situation with that. But Donnie's got to do something, because if he doesn't do anything and it becomes law, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to get people to challenge it, to fight the challenges, because he just simply did nothing, and the Republicans are headed for, according to some other stuff I read, a major loss in 2026 and 2028. At the rate things are going right now. That was a weird sound I just heard. I'm assuming that my headphones just went dead. All right, so hold on. Yeah, they did. All right, hold on a second. I know I'm doing this. They're wireless headphones, and you can still use them when you plug them in, but I don't plug them in that often. Okay. No, I can't use them. All right, so we're working without the benefit of hearing how I sound. So I hope I sound all right. Melodious voice of mine. I'm looking at a picture of some on YouTube of one of those shorts, and it's got some girl with her tits hanging out. I don't understand some of this stuff, But anyhow, what else can I talk to you about? Oh, some guy was down by me in New Jersey. Tim Tierney. I know that name. I might know this guy. Or the family. I know the Tierney family. I think I worked for them one time. In a place called Island Beach State Park. Brought it a jumbo striped bass. Too bad you can't see that. Anyhow. What was I talking about? Does anybody remember? The thing with Trump is I vote he does nothing because that just simplifies everything. He'll go to the golf course and hang out for a few days till it's over, and everybody expects something bad to be in there about him. I believe it's already been redacted, that stuff, but there are bad things in there about him. But not just him. There's Bill Clinton, which he's going to harp on, and that's the stuff that's going to be released first, trust me. The Bill Clinton stuff and the all the other good stuff, that's gonna be released first. The other politicians, the Democrats, he ordered a huge investigation about it. But mostly he's investigating the Democrats that are involved in this thing, and I understand that. Oh man, I didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah, you did, you scumbag. You hired girls and you gave them to Epstein to play with. Come on, man, what's the matter with you? You've said so much in the past, around 20, leading up to 2016 and everything, that you just can't get out of this. The title scumbag is going to follow you everywhere. And look at you now. You got the guy that killed the reporter, who ordered the hit on the reporter, the Saudi Arabian royal prince. And you're throwing him a party. You're defending him. You're throwing him a party, and I'm telling you, there's a between the government of the United States and Saudi Arabia, there's something special going on. And that goes back to Aramco Oil Company, which was Shell, Mobil, Texaco, and somebody else, I believe, plus Saudi Arabia, that was involved in the development of the oil fields out there, when they thought they would never run out of oil. Now they're running out of oil. Saudi Arabia is looking to diversify, get away from an oil-based economy because they understand oil is not going to be there forever, okay? It's just not going to happen. Not the way we're doing it. Seriously. I don't know what else I could say. The guy, he's harboring a man who ordered a murderer, and he's treating him like, what he is, a prince. And he doesn't deserve that kind of treatment. And Donald deserves every bad thing that's coming his way. As far as karma goes, Trump is screwed. He might as well just go stand in a corner, drop his pants, bend over, and wait for it, because it's just going to be a bitch. I don't know whether he recognizes that anymore. I've seen a lot of pictures of him where I get the impression that they could be doing something. They're doing something to help him along at times, and at other times when it wears off, he's just fucked. Because I'm talking about his mental attitude. I just don't see it, him being a normal human being anymore. And I told you what they used to do with Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken. put him in a hyperbaric chamber for I don't know how long afterwards. And I knew that because I knew the nurse at St. Barnabas Hospital in Livingston that was running the hyperbaric chamber. So, I know this for a fact. So, I'm assuming they're doing something similar like that with him, What's this I wrote down? The redistricting plan that Trump came up with is all shot to shit now. A court knocked down the Texas deal, and because it was racist, it was blatantly racist. That's Abbott. He's another one of these. I think Hitler was a great man. And I think apartheid is the way to go. There was nothing bad there. Yeah, right. Look, it's been documented that not every slave owner was bad. Okay? That's been documented. There were some of the people who were actually treated fairly and ended up all right after the war and stayed with these people after the war because they liked the people. Others, no. The majority of them, no, they weren't nice people. They took advantage of the women, used the men for everything they could possibly use them to until they were just beaten down to nothing, And there were blacks involved in that slavery, because they were put in charge of some of the slaves and they didn't do anything to help them, They were probably worse than the white people were. So, but you got Abbott likes this stuff. He likes that. Segregation, segregation didn't work the way they wanted it to. Because you in order to have actual segregation, you either bust these kids to the bad neighborhoods, what they call the bad neighborhoods, or to white or black areas, or you keep them from people from moving in, which you can't do under our Constitution, but you try. They did it by burning them out and shooting them and stuff like that down south, But now you've got I don't know how many Indians, and when I say Indians, I'm talking about people from the country India in this country, spread out all over the place, and they're being abused and they're being attacked right now and told to go home and whatnot. And they took jobs from Americans, but they weren't, they were brought in by big companies. AT&T is the one I'm familiar with. They would bring these people in on the B2 visas and pay them less money, and they would live 6 or 7 to an apartment, and then they'd stay here. And a lot of our doctors now, it's like nurses. People don't want to do this for a living anymore. They don't want to empty bedpans anymore, I've seen some great nurses in my life. I dated a nurse. That's how I found out about Colonel Sanders and everything. That her girlfriend was the one that worked at the hyperbaric chamber. Her roommate, actually, at one time. And I dated this girl for quite a while, and I thought I was in love, and it didn't work out. And I don't blame her because, I was a real prick at the time. Still am, I think. But that was... but nurses in general, I've been in hospitals, and I was in a hospital, an emergency room in a hospital, because they thought I had a leaky aneurysm, and the doctors kept coming in and asking the same questions, and the one doctor walked back in, his assistant walked back in, and this nurse who had to be about 2 weeks from having her baby jumps up, gets in front of him and says, "Listen, you've asked the same question 17 times so far. Now get the fuck out." These are nurses. They stand up to these people. They're good people. and it's a tough-ass job. And anybody that's ever been in a hospital that abuses a nurse ought to get thrown out the fucking window. These people are really good. They deserve it. Even down here where they're less than, they're not even, I don't know how well trained they are down here. But they all know more than doctors do. At least in the United States they did. Practical nurses down here serve as doctors. And I don't understand, why people don't think that's going on, but that is, But that's all right. They know more than doctors do, because they're willing to do the job. Doctors pawn the job off. They don't want to tell you anything. They want to be mysterious. Nurses want you to know what's going on. Anyhow, they all come from, a lot of them are Filipino. Now, like if you want to go to Ireland, become a nurse and you can go to Ireland. They love nurses in Ireland. They need nurses. It's screwed up, because nobody wants to do that job anymore. That's what I said to it's like when I say to you people that you say, well, the people from down south, Mexicans and whatnot, are taking our jobs. What job, man? Do you want to go bend over and pick strawberries? Do you want to wash dishes? Do you want to clean floors? What do you want to do? Let me know, They don't want the jobs. That's why these people are here in the first place. If there were no jobs, they wouldn't come here. And that's something I don't think a lot of people understand. And I have no problem with them doing what they do, Some of them are bad. That's life. There's a lot of bad white people, black people, Indian people, They don't have to be Russians, You don't have to be Spanish to be bad. Okay, so listen, that's it for Wednesday. Got a football game tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get back on schedule by tomorrow. God, this is ridiculous. But I just found out today the elevator is going to be out in my building again for another 8 days. It's going to be like 3 months a month without an elevator, man. And that's just like, my wife is going to... Oh, when the elevator comes, I won't see her for a week. She'll be gone. All right, so that's it, folks. Hit the subscribe button. Like me or dislike me. I get comments, people want to converse with me. I don't really do that because I do the 20-minute video because that's what I allow for this stuff, I don't talk to anybody really. I have, unless I can see you and do it, and I don't really have the setup for that, But we'll see. But don't feel bad. I mean, I'm not talking to you because I don't want to talk to you. It's just it's how to put it. It's time consuming, and my time is, what can I tell you? I have a project I'm working on for the holidays. Maybe after the holidays, after the first of the year, I can do something about this. We'll see what happens then. See how much money people give me for the holidays, All right, everybody. Have a great day. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Bye.